Ashridge, Episode 1, The Rabbit Man.
Excuse me. I say excuse me. Are you alright over there, love? Are those people bothering you? Do you need me to call the police? Excuse me, I'm just wondering if you're okay. Don't speak then. Only trying to help. Suit yourself. Bloody weirdos. Pint of Watney's Red Barrel, please, love.
Of course. Anything else?
No, that's fine, thanks. Lovely evening.
Yeah, it is. It was sweltering today.
Well, I've been working all day, but at least my car's got aircon.
Nice. What do you do?
I sell jewellery for a big Italian firm. Just been round my clients in Swindon. Off to Newbury tomorrow.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. By the way, do you have fancy dress round here?
I'm sorry?
I mean, like, mumming, dressing up and that.
Well, funny coincidence you should say that. They're planning a meeting at the village hall this week about starting a mummers play for Ashridge. Did you see the poster?
No, I never saw no poster or nothing. What it was, I seen some people in the field. At first, I thought it was some woman was getting abducted. And I shouted over, but she wasn't having none of it. Just proper stared at me, like piss off, basically. Well, she seen me all right, but she never spoke. They was dressed up like actors. Mummers they was then.
I don't think so. Not yet. Sounds weird. When was this?
I was just driving into town. Come off the A471 and there's this brick tower in a field to the right.
Yeah, the Folly, they call it. The local lord built it 200 years ago or so, just for fun. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but it's scenic. Good photo shoot background. I seen a woman there dressed up like a bride and three little guys with hoods. I'm not kidding. Like them Morris men.
There's no Morris men in Ashridge itself.
But you said there was mummers. Same thing. You said they were going to have one.
The local English teacher's trying to revive it. There hasn't been one for years. If ever.
Well, this lot must have been doing a publicity shoot. Well, she was good looking, mind you.
If you say so. Nice. Here's your pint.
Can you stick it on my tab? Room 3.
Sure.
Nice evening.
Yes.
I'm just visiting. One night, then I'm on my way. Ashridge seems a pleasant little town.
You think so?
Very quaint. Oh, it's got it all. You've even got the traditional customs. Mumming and that.
I don't think we have that here.
Oh, he's starting it again. The English teacher. I seen them practising in the field, by that Folly.
You saw someone by the Folly?
Yeah, I got the wrong end of the stick at first. I thought them blokes was bothering her. But they were all wearing fancy dress, so now I know it's mummers. And that's what you do in the country, innit? You have your customs and that. Very good, I say. Very English. I like that.
You shouldn't have seen that.
Well, I couldn't help it, could I?
There's some things you should look away from. You should have driven on by. People these days, they think they're allowed to see anything. And of course they're not.
Ooh, missus, I didn't think it was that sort of thing. Just joking. I take it you're a local.
I've lived here for 40 years, but you can't truly claim to be local unless you're born here.
That's the country though, innit, mate? You have to serve your time to belong. That's its beauty. The traditions. I'm a Londoner myself.
Well, they won't like that. Though I'm even worse. I'm a northerner.
Well, I won't hold it against you. But you've been here a while. It must have smoothed out the rough edges.
I was a teacher at the local secondary school.
Retired now.
In a sense.
You know, my granddad says he's busier now he's retired than when he was working. Was you teaching here in the town?
I was. The council kept threatening to close Ashridge High School, but it's holding on. Ashridge has a way of resisting outside influences.
You live in Ashridge, then?
Live here? Well, in a sense I do.
You must like it here, then.
I liked it at first.
Honestly, I can't see what's not to like, to be honest. I had a quick scoot around before coming in here. It's got a village green, river, lovely cottages, shops, beautiful countryside. Just off the Ridgeway, innit? Seems ideal to me. Just the sort of place I'd like to settle down in.
I'll give you that Ashridge looks the part, but it's a place that hides many secrets.
Mysterious. Well, that makes it even more interesting. Anyway, what kind of secrets?
Well, for one thing, there's a network of tunnels under the ground here. Some say they're disused Cold War bunkers. Others say the tunnels are older, that they were used as an insane asylum in Victorian times.
Spooky. What did you teach, by the way? History?
Geography.
I always preferred PE. Anyway, if you don't like it here, why didn't you just leave?
I can't leave Ashridge. Something happened that bound me here forever.
Go on. Like what?
2 of my pupils went missing.
Bloody hell, that's awful. Were they found?
But they were never found by any of the rescue team. And no, the parents never got them back.
Was it in the papers? On the news? I don't remember seeing nothing.
At the time, yes. Now the story's forgotten.
Yeah, well, I've never heard of it.
Perhaps they prefer it that way. I can tell you the story if you're interested.
Well, I am. But I was hoping to get something to eat at the Indian and then turn in for the night. How long will it take?
The story? In the telling, not long. But when you hear it, you may take it to your grave.
Take it to my grave? Oh, I get it. You're a joker, aren't you? Doing that American Werewolf in London thing, you know, when the strangers walk into that country pub. You made me miss.
I've never seen that film.
Well, let me tell you, I ain't one to jump at scary stories. Nerves are still me, mate.
Did I say it was scary?
No, you didn't, but I know what you're doing. Go on then. You've hooked me. I'll buy you another drink. Pint of mild, is it? Another pint of Watney's for me, and pint of mild.
You lining them up?
What do you mean, love?
Nothing. None of my business. Sorry.
No, it's one for me, one for my friend. I know I've just met him, but I make friends easily. Call it my natural charm.
I bet. So 2 pints then?
Yep.
Okay.
Go on then. Let's hear your story.
The boys that went missing were called Tom and Charlie. Tom and Charlie were not good at geography. Tom was a class clown and Charlie was his rather dim sidekick. They were 15 when I taught them, and in the years leading to their O-levels, so I tried to cram geography into their boneheads with, well, shall we say, mixed results.
Sounds like me at school.
I thought you reminded me of someone. More like Tom, I'd say.
He was the clever one then, eh?
No, he wasn't clever. He was sly. One day when their antics in class had been particularly bad, I decided to keep them in detention after school.
Yeah, I had a lot of detentions.
We sat there in the classroom, just we 3. I had a pile of marking to do and told them to get on with whatever homework they had. But there was something up with them. They squirmed and glared at each other, fidgeting in their seats. They just couldn't settle. It wasn't that they were excited, their agitation had no sense of thrill to it. In fact, if anything, they seemed disturbed, unnerved even. Eventually, it became clear to me that they had somewhere else to be. I asked them straight out, "Are you itching to be somewhere, lads? Do you have something to do that's more important than detention?"
We're supposed to be in the bunker, Mr. Reynolds.
Of course, I asked him what the bunker was.
Don't say too much, Chaz.
It was odd how agitated they were. I'd heard of it, of course. Everyone in Ashridge has.
The bunker, Mr. Reynolds. You know, it's under the town.
I wasn't sure I really believed there was such a thing. It sounded too much like an urban myth to me.
Rural myth, though. I mean, it's not urban.
Anyway, Tom turned to Charlie and kicked him under the table. Then they both fell silent. Charlie, with his fingers to his mouth, actually chewing his lips as if to stop himself from saying more. Well, I was intrigued now. I certainly believed that the government had spent money during the 1950s and 60s in creating command centres away from London against the event of a Soviet strike, but I knew nothing about there being one under Ashridge. In any case, there was no evidence of anything like that in the town, no sign of any government agency or hint of any government agency ever having been there. So if the bunker existed, as Tom and Charlie and others in the town said it did, well, it was long derelict. "It's probably not safe to play somewhere like that," I said.
It's not playing.
I said, "But of course it's playing." I gave a sarcastic laugh. "Don't tell me that you two galoots are on official business." How'd you get into the bunker anyway?
There's a crack in the road bridge in the concrete. If you turn sideways, you can get in, and then it widens up and you get into the passages.
You know, I like to think I wasn't a bad teacher, but especially in those days we were given to the dark sarcasm in the classroom that we've been accused of. But the boys played dumb. It wasn't hard for them. I probed further. For some reason, it intrigued me. "Tell me more about your lovely bunker." Neither of them spoke now. In fact, they looked very uncomfortable. Tom was visibly sweating, and the sense of unease in the room was palpable. What on earth was going on? The reaction seemed disproportionate. For a minute, I wondered if they hadn't got themselves involved in drugs. Even then there was some drug crime, but not as bad as it is now, of course. I wanted to know what they were up to. I grew cunning. I decided to let Tom go to the toilet, though he hadn't asked to go, so that I could get the more malleable Charlie on his own. Tom reluctantly left the room, scowling at Charlie from the door before he left.
Remember, they told us not to say anything.
When he was gone, I said, "So, Charlie, it seems like you're up to no good in the bunker. Not just playing, you say. Have you got yourself involved in something serious?"
Tom doesn't want me to say.
"Tom won't know, Charlie. That's why I sent him out of the room. You won't tell him, and I certainly won't." I gave the serious but sympathetic stare I'd practiced with pupils down the years. I said, "Honesty is the best policy. It's the right choice to tell me the truth." Charlie began to cry, fat tears running down his fair, chubby cheeks.
I don't want to go down the bunker.
"Well, don't go then. Simple as that."
We have to go.
"Why do you have to go?" "That's nonsense. No one has to go to the bunker, even if they do exist."
We do. We have to meet the rabbit man.
"The rabbit man?" I mean, I admit I laughed out loud. The child was a simpleton. The rabbit man, Charlie. Who on earth is the rabbit man? It sounds like something for little children, not for grown lads of 14.
He's not a toy. He's not from a comic. He's real. He makes us do things. He says that if we don't do them, he'll come into our houses. He says he can do stuff to us while we're asleep.
I must admit that worried me. After all, I had pastoral responsibilities for these children. I sat back. "How can he do that, Charlie? How could he possibly break into your house?"
He doesn't have to break in because there's tunnels under all the houses. You can get up into all the houses from the bunker.
Well, now I knew it was making it all up. I tried to appear sympathetic because the boy was clearly half-witted. Not into my house, and I live in Ashridge, and I'm sure not into yours.
The rabbit man can come up when he wants. The tunnels and passages are all underneath Ashridge. They can get up when you're asleep and not watching out for them.
I rubbed my eyes. I almost wanted Tom to come back to shut him up. You say they, Charlie, but so far you've only mentioned one person, the so-called rabbit man.
There's others. Some are worse. Some come from down below.
So how did you come to know this?
We went into the bunkers just for a laugh, and they noticed us. It's okay if they don't remember. Then, when you get born, they've forgotten about you and they let you be when you're in the daylight. But if they notice you again, they remember you. And they want you back.
Want you back? Where? This is quite absurd. Where are these people?
Down below, underneath the world. But they're not really people. They've remembered me and Tom now, and they keep calling us. If you do what they want, they'll let you come back into the daylight. So we go and we do jobs for them. Messages like, just so they'll let us come home. I don't want to be kept down there.
At this point, Tom came back into the room.
You've made him cry. You shouldn't make him cry. Charlie's soft. Everybody knows it. I'll report you for child cruelty, and I'll tell his dad, and he'll batter you.
I've never been a physical man. I said, I didn't make him cry, Tom. He just started crying for no good reason. Tell him, Charlie. I didn't make you cry, did I?
Yes, you did. You made me cry. I'm going to tell my dad and he'll come and see you.
I sighed. Go on then, both of you. Get home. You've been bothering me long enough.
What happened next?
They left the class. I took a little while to lock up and drove home.
And then?
Well, the next day, they never came to school. There was quite the kerfuffle. The headmaster called me in and I told him I kept them in detention but let them go after about half an hour. They must have left the school no later than 4:30. Someone had seen them at Market Street car park about 5 p.m. and then no one ever saw them again.
That's terrible. How awful for their parents. Were you...
Was I investigated? The Tom and Charlie vanished. It triggered a massive manhunt. The disappearance made the headlines and was featured in newspapers across the region. As you suggested, people wondered about me, given I was the last person to see them before they went missing.
And you say they was never found?
The search efforts were relentless. But despite the widespread search and public outcry, no, they weren't found. Not by the police.
Did you tell the police about the bunker and the rabbit man and all that nonsense? There might have been a clue in it all.
I told the police everything the boys told me about the bunker and the rabbit man. I wanted them to know anything that would help them. But I don't know what they did with that information. There was no sign that they'd ever investigated the bunker, and when I mentioned the bunker to people in the town, it was like they didn't want to hear what I was saying.
Well, they maybe knew what was really going on. I bet people in small places like this know all sorts of things they won't talk about to outsiders.
I'm not sure anyone knew. But certainly, no one found them. So about 5 days after Tom and Charlie disappeared, I decided to investigate the bunker myself.
Oh my God.
At first, I merely visited the site, surveying the entrance down by the road bridge. The crack was ordinary enough, but the idea that this entrance gave way into a network of abandoned dark tunnels gave it a foreboding aura.
So you gave up?
It seemed I couldn't resist the pull of my growing curiosity. Eventually, armed with an electric torch to pierce the darkness, I ventured into the depths of the bunker.
You actually went looking for them in this so-called bunker? On your own?
I did.
Flipping heck, you were brave. Did you tell anyone where you were, in case you got lost or stuck?
No. How could I explain? It would sound incriminating.
What was it like in there?
It was quite unnerving. I've never been fond of enclosed spaces. Of course, I had my torch, and it gave good light. As Charlie had said, just inside the entrance, the crack in the bridge's concrete widened. There were signs that people had been down there. Plastic food wrappers, empty cans of cider, marks of a fire.
Sounds a bit dodgy.
I must admit that I worried about the structural integrity of that subterranean passage. And after only a few yards of this crack, it reached a concrete walled tunnel. This was definitely part of a proper structure, not just a hole in the earth.
Was it old?
It looked like it might date from the 1940s or so, but concrete was used earlier than you imagine, so, it might have been early 20th century or even the 1890s.
You said this bunker was Cold War era.
The passage I entered felt ancient.
Go on anyway. It's a great story.
Water droplets echoed in the tunnel as they dripped from the ceiling, flashing bright in the torch beam and vanishing. I went cautiously on. This tunnel eventually led me to a junction, forcing me to make a choice. Left or right. I had no map or guide to consult. Trusting my instincts, I turned right and ventured further into the subterranean labyrinth.
Why did you turn right? Was there a clue?
Just the left-hand path, consonant with its signification, seemed more sinister.
Eh?
Sinister means left.
Oh, right. Left.
As I continued, I passed by rooms with open doors, revealing scenes frozen in time. The spaces were sparsely furnished with rotting chairs, aged desks, and rusty filing cabinets. Posters on the walls, preserved since 1965, bore the traces of Ridgeway TV's past presence.
So it really had been used as a TV studio. How weird. What was on them posters?
Details of shows with stars I'd long forgotten, but the memories kind of flooded back when I saw the smiling images plastered over the walls.
Which ones was they? Not that I'd remember, I'm too young.
It doesn't matter who they were. I stood there staring at them for a while. It was a history lesson. But just as I was immersed in the nostalgia of the past, a noise broke the silence. An echoing noise that came from deeper within the labyrinth, right up ahead, from where I was going.
That would have proper freaked me out. What was it?
An unmistakable noise, the sound of something metal being dragged over concrete, as if someone was laboriously moving a filing cabinet.
A filing cabinet? So there was filing cabinets in there?
Nothing had been removed from the offices, it seemed. It had been abandoned, just like the Marie Celeste.
The Mary who?
And it was dragging a metal filing cabinet down an empty corridor in the dark.
Yeah, that's freaky. Who was it?
I don't know.
Were you scared?
Yes.
Why didn't you turn round?
I wanted to.
I would have.
I was shaking with fear. But I'd been so enthralled with the disused offices, I got further in than I realised. I hadn't been paying attention. I wasn't as sure as I should be of the way back out.
But you got out? You're here.
And also, I promised myself I'd look for Tom and Charlie. I felt somehow responsible. Charlie had believed their rabbit man was some sort of hybrid creature, a freak. Even if it was a man dressed up as a rabbit, a person like that lurking in an abandoned set of tunnels could not have been normal.
Yeah, that's true. You gotta be a nutter to do stuff like that. And there you were, stuck with him down there, not knowing your way out, and him coming closer every minute.
The sound came again. Someone was there, but I had no idea of who was ahead of me. I hoped it wasn't this rabbit man and that it was Tom and Charlie.
Why would they be moving filing cabinets?
Playing tricks on me?
But they wouldn't know you was down there. It was days after they'd gone missing, wasn't it?
I wanted it to be them, but I didn't think it was them. It was someone else. Someone who was possibly insane.
You didn't have a weapon?
No.
Anyway, go on.
The sound repeated itself, metal being dragged across the concrete floor. Again and again. Drag, scraping metal. I couldn't just wait there for him to appear, so I went right. I turned into a longer corridor. I flashed my torch ahead. Oddly, even though I'd moved away from the sound, it was still there, coming closer. It was like they knew where I was.
Well, whoever it was, it wasn't a rabbit thing.
Wasn't it?
Come on.
Above ground, in the light, a rabbit man is a figure of fun, a childish invention, a cosy thing even, a stuffed toy. But down there, in the dark, a man dressed as a rabbit was a far more disturbing thing. And if it wasn't a man at all, what then?
Here, I've had a thought. What if there was radiation down there? Maybe there was a kind of Cold War mutant. You don't know what the Elday was doing experimenting down there in that bunker. Or something could have got free and was still down there. What if that's why they'd abandoned the tunnels?
It sounds like you've been in Ashridge too long. It's a very strange place. People here start to imagine things.
Anyway, get back to the bunker. What did you do?
I tried to avoid it, going right, going left, but it seemed to know where I was. It followed me, but not followed me, because it was always ahead, as if it already knew where I was going, as if it was drawing me to itself. And then I saw it.
Well, what the hell was it?
I turned a corner. I shone the torch. And there he was.
What was it?
I don't like to say. I don't want to give you nightmares.
Yeah, you do. Anyway, this thing you don't want to tell me what it was comes round the corner at you and... Then what?
I ran. I panicked and I ran. I turned tall and ran the way I thought I'd come. He didn't follow, like he was sure I wouldn't get out. As if he knew I was trapped in there with him.
Well, did you find the way out?
I was out of my mind with fear. I just got more lost. Some of it looked familiar, but I soon realised I'd been fooled by the repeating corridors and passages going off here and there.
What about the metal noise?
I couldn't hear the dragging noise. But there were other noises. All around me, noises I couldn't identify.
Were they people? More mutants?
I had to lean against the damp concrete wall to try and get control of my panic. I knew panic would just get me more lost. Panic is hard to master.
So what did you do?
The animal noises, the chittering and scratching noises were all around me, as if they were in the walls. I didn't want to know what they were. I didn't want to look.
So how did you get out?
Well, I managed to calm down. I walked on, deliberately not looking into any of the rooms, not branching off to where the noises were worse, and then I saw some graffiti. The words, Tom and Charlie was here 74, were scrawled on the concrete. In my panic, I'd forgotten about the boys, forgotten why I'd gone into the bunkers at all.
Right, so at least they'd been there.
Well, who else would scrawl that on the wall?
Unless whatever was down there was trying to trick you.
I hadn't thought of that. I know it seems quite possible, but then I thought it meant they'd been down there. I thought they might still be down there, lost and starving. A sense of responsibility came back to me. I called out, Tom! Charlie! It's only me, Mr. Reynolds, your teacher.
Oh, you shouldn't have done that. It could attract the attention of... the rabbit man.
If I'd just fled without looking for them, then I really would be responsible for whatever happened to them down there. And I began to fear it was very terrible indeed.
So did they hear?
I kept walking and kept calling. Tom? Charlie, are you here? Are you hurt? The bunkers were immense. They seemed to wind on and round in labyrinthine complexity, in stone, in concrete, damp and dark, and empty.
But perhaps not so empty, eh?
And then the faint sound of a radio tuning reached my ears.
Bloody radio? Like an old transistor radio?
And the tuning noise was followed by the jingle of Ridgeway TV.
Your way, our way, Ridgeway.
I remembered it, but it was a relic from my past. They'd stopped broadcasting when they'd been bought up by Anglia TV. It was so odd. Someone else was down here, listening to a long-gone radio station in the dark. By this point, I was standing by a water-stained wooden door. It led into a room, an office probably like all the others down here, and something about it caught my attention. As I watched, the door began to slowly open. Someone who was in there was coming out. He'd found me at last. My time had run out. I didn't see him. I didn't look. I ran. Had no plan. My feet were propelled by blind panic. The person in the office came out into the corridor and began to run after me.
Could it have been Tom or Charlie?
I didn't know then. I do now.
But what about Tom and Charlie?
I didn't care about them anymore. It was myself I was trying to save. The person behind me kept pace, slowing as I slowed, speeding up as I ran faster, and then, ahead of me, I felt a breeze. I knew that meant the outside world. In another few yards, I saw rusty iron steps going up.
And this guy was running after you still, whoever it was.
Yes. He must have realised I was close to the exit and decided it was time to catch me. I heard his footsteps speeding up. He was only feet behind. I could almost feel his hands on my shoulders. I leapt onto the iron steps and hurled myself up them. I sensed him behind me at the bottom of the steps. I didn't dare turn round. I dragged myself up, got to the top of the steps. There was a metal hatch. I could see daylight round edges of a metal cover. I pushed at it.
And?
It was stuck.
Oh, Jesus.
I kept pushing, heaving, getting my shoulder to it, and with great effort I finally freed it. But just as I did, I felt a hand seize my ankle. It was a grip like iron. Then a voice, a familiar voice, called out to me from below. It was little soft Charlie. How could he have got so strong?
What did he say?
Mr. Reynolds! Mr. Reynolds! Come down and play with us! Mr. Reynolds! Mr. Reynolds! Come down and play with us! Come down to us, Mr. Reynolds. Come back down. We need you to save us from the Rabbit Man.
So did he let you go?
No. And there was something wrong with Charlie's voice.
But then you got out?
And then I got out.
Yeah, but how? Anyway, never mind. I don't believe a word, but it was a heck of a story. Tell me, Mr. Reynolds, in real life, did you ever see Tom and Charlie again?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I bet. Well, you nearly had me there. I was nearly the fish that bites the same hook twice. But, listen, thanks for the entertainment. But right now, there's a chicken booner with my name on it at the Light of Asia. It's been lovely talking to you. Night-night. Who's that? What do you want? It's the middle of the bloody night.
Hello, Mr. Reynolds' friend. Come with me and Tom down to the bunkers.
What? Who the hell is that?
It's Charlie. There's someone down there who wants to meet you. He thinks you don't believe in him, and he wants to show you he's true.
Go away. I don't know you are. I don't know any Charlie.
The rabbit man has remembered you now. He wants you to come underneath. You'll have to now, because you saw us.
Go away. In the name of God, go away. Go away.
Oh, you haven't eaten your breakfast, sir. Anything wrong? I can reheat it for you if you like.
No, it was fine. I just wasn't hungry.
Sleep well?
Well, I've slept better.
Going very far today?
Well, I'm pretty knackered, but I've got to go to Newbury. I should have gone there last night. I booked a stop here at Ashridge to look at the house prices because, well, seemed like a nice place to settle down in.
Ashridge is a lovely town, especially if you're thinking of raising a family. It's an ideal place for kids to grow up in. Well, if you finished your breakfast, sir, are you ready to check out now?
Yep, I've got my bag here. Can I have a receipt? There shouldn't be any extras.
No, I've got your bill, that's it. Need a hand with your bags?
Oh, wait, no, this bill's wrong. Don't let anyone say I'm not an honest man. I bought 3 drinks at the bar last night, but you've only charged me for 2.
You bought 3, you say? Let's have a look.
Yeah, it's 2 pints of bitter and a pint of mild for Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Reynolds? He's a friend of yours?
No, I just met him last night in the bar. The retired geography teacher. He told me a story about some missing kids. And I bought him a pint of mild.
Missing kids? There's no missing kids in Ashridge. It's a very safe place.
No, he said it was yonks ago, when he was still teaching.
Well, it doesn't ring a bell. I don't know any Mr. Reynolds either, and I thought I knew everybody in town. Especially if they come into the apple tree.
Well, you must know him. He had the air of a conservative, traditional sort of bloke. Very neat. Brown suit.
No, can't say I know him. I tell you what, let's say you imagined him, and so the pint of mild was imaginary too. So you don't have to pay for it. How about that?
Okay.
I'll see you out, sir. Breath of fresh air will do me good. Not a bad morning. Not bad at all.
Hey, you two. Get away from my bloody car.
Oh, no need to worry about those two. It's just Tom and Charlie.
Tom and Charlie?
Yeah, local lads. They're full of fun, always playing tricks, but they mean no harm.
Well, who's that behind them in the trees?
I can't see anyone, sir. Well, bye then. Hope to see you at the apple tree again soon.
There's somebody there, I'm telling you. The boys have gone to him.
No, I can't see anyone there. You must be imagining him. That can happen if you don't get your sleep.
Oh my God. It's Reynolds.
Hey, if you come again, don't go through booking.com. I'll lose 10% that way.
Mr. Decker, that man standing holding hands with the boys, that's Reynolds. The man I told you about.
If you book direct, I'll give you a discount.
That's him, the man I was talking about. That's bloody Reynolds with Tom and Charlie.
Don't get yourself all worked up, sir. Anyway, have a safe journey. See you again soon, I hope.
But why is he holding their hands like that?
And now for the local news. A search has been started after a car was found abandoned by the road bridge that carries the busy A471 over the Nudbury Road, just north of the Wessex town of Ashridge. Mr. Philip Malloy, a travelling salesman, did not attend his appointments with clients in Newbury scheduled for last Wednesday, and his wife says he never arrived home. He has now been missing over a week. Mr. Henry Decker, owner of the Apple Tree in Ashridge, where Mr. Malloy had spent the previous night, said he seemed well at breakfast and there were no signs of anything untoward when he left that morning. Police investigations are ongoing. That was episode 1 of Ashridge, the Rabbit Man. Mr. Reynolds was played by Ben Brinicombe, Julie Gittins, the barmaid, by Gwyneth Evans. Charlie was played by Chris Foley, the salesman by Jasper Lestrange, Henry Decker by David Thompson, the newsreader and the voice of Tom by Tony Walker. Sound design and sound effects by Jasper Lestrange and Tony Walker. Music was composed specially by the Hartwood Institute.